Some strangers wake up in a cube with several rooms. The only way for them to escape is figuring out how to avoid deadly traps in their way out. The movie starts with a lonely man trying to remember why he is imprisoned in a room in a giant cube. Each side of the room has a door that opens to another room. He desperately tries to find a way to get out. He is absolutely confused. Finally, he attempts to exit the room through one of the doors. Before he can get himself together, a lethal trap brutally cuts him into pieces and puts him out of his misery. Afterwards, in a different room, Quentin, Worth, Holloway, Renz, and Levin come across each other. They are all unaware of their location, how they ended up there, or the purpose behind their presence. Quentin, however, has knowledge of the existence of traps after narrowly avoiding a fatal incident in another room. Realizing the importance of sticking together, the group decides to search for an exit. Renz takes charge and demonstrates a method to detect traps by throwing a boot into rooms while holding onto the laces, triggering any potential traps that may be present. Holloway considers various possibilities for the origin of the cube, with extraterrestrials and the government being the primary contenders. Renz emphasizes that staying still will not lead to any solutions and suggests moving in a straight line until they reach the end. The others agree and they commence their journey through the rooms. Do you think they succeed? It just seems very difficult to bring this journey to an end. While they are in the process of moving, they come across a series of different numbers on the doors connecting each room. During their exploration, Renz throws a boot into one of the rooms but discovers nothing inside. However, he notices that the room has dry air and concludes that it probably utilizes an electrochemical sensor that detects hydrogen sulfide emitted from the skin. Quentin becomes aware that Renz is actually an escape artist who has successfully escaped from more than 7 high-security prisons. Shortly after, Renz jumps into another room that was tested with a boot and gets sprayed in the face with acid. The rest of the group pulls him back, but unfortunately he dies as the acid corrodes his face and internal organs. Realizing that the room must have contained an electrochemical sensor that Renz missed, the group understands the need to find a more effective method of testing the rooms. Quentin inquires about everyone's occupations. He reveals he is a police officer, Holloway discloses she is a doctor, and Worth vaguely mentions working in an office building. Levin claims to simply spend time with her friends. Quentin believes that their presence in the cube is not a coincidence and that each of them serves a purpose. Levin reveals her proficiency in mathematics and deduces that rooms with prime numbers are likely to be booby-trapped. Consequently, Levin takes on the task of deciphering the cube's code, and they continue navigating through the cubes. In a room surrounded by trapped rooms, Quentin investigates a door in the ceiling, from which Kazan, a mentally disabled individual, falls down. Some members view him as a burden, but Holloway decides to bring him along. The group starts discussing their surroundings, leading to a conflict between Quentin and Holloway. Quentin rejects Holloway's ideas as conspiracy theories. Shortly after, Quentin enters a room without prime numbers and narrowly escapes a trap consisting of rotating razor wires. Levin's theory that non-prime numbered rooms are safe is proven wrong. Quentin becomes suspicious of Worth, thinking he may be a spy, and becomes increasingly annoyed with Kazan's mental state. The group takes a break while Levin tries to decipher the numbers. After some time, Quentin deceives Worth into admitting that he's one of the architects who designed the massive cube-shaped structure containing the cube-shaped rooms. When asked about the person who hired him for the job, Worth claims to have no knowledge. Although the others start to distrust Worth, he provides them with information about the dimensions of the outer cube. It measures 434 feet on each side, totaling totaling 17,576 rooms. Levin then speculates that the numbers between the rooms could be encoded coordinates representing the positions of the rooms within the cube. The group begins moving towards the nearest edge. So far, there's been plenty of arguments. Who do you think makes it out of there alive? Can all of them? Eventually, the group reaches one of the sides of the cube, only to discover a gap between the door and the outer shell. They decide to use their clothes to create a makeshift rope, and Holloway volunteers to investigate by swinging out on the rope. As she hangs outside the room, the cube suddenly shakes, putting Holloway's life in danger. Quentin manages to catch her, but instead of saving her, he deliberately lets her fall to her death. Quentin claims that it was an accident and that she slipped, but the rest of the group doubts his story. The group decides to rest before attempting to reach the bottom edge of the cube. While they're sleeping, Quentin takes Levin into another room and tries to convince her to leave the others. He also makes inappropriate advances towards her and becomes abusive when she rejects him. Luckily, Worth and Kazan wake up and save Levin from Quentin's actions. Quentin becomes paranoid and admits that he didn't trust Holloway. Quentin beats up Worth and throws him through a door in the floor. In that room, Worth finds Ren's dead body and realizes that they have been moving in circles. He also notices that the acid room which killed Ren is no longer next to that room. Worth and Levin deduce that the rooms in the cube are shifting positions. Levin also discovers that rooms with traps are marked with numbers that are not just prime numbers, but prime powers. This means they have to perform prime calculations using three three-digit numbers for every room they enter. Fortunately, Kazan, who is revealed to be an autistic savant, is able to quickly and easily perform these calculations. He can determine the number of distinct prime factors each number has as the room numbers are read to him. Unexpectedly, Kazan turned out to be quite useful in their effort to escape the cube prison. With Kazan's assistance, they successfully make their way towards the exit. Worth comes up with a strategy to incapacitate Quentin, who has completely lost his sanity. Worth engages in a fight with Quentin, leading him into a room below, and they abandon him to meet his demise. They continue their journey and eventually reach the bridge cube. Upon opening its door, a flood of bright light fills the room. Worth declares that he will not go any further, as he believes there is nothing for him in the outside world. Quentin miraculously catches up to them and fatally stabs Levin using a door handle he had somehow broken off. He also stabs Worth and seizes Kazan, who is trying to climb out. With his last bit of strength, Worth manages to grab Quentin's leg, causing Quentin to be crushed in the narrow space between the cubes when they realign. Having saved Kazan, Worth lies down beside Levin and passes away. The final scene shows Kazan slowly walking towards the radiant light. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed my video and watch this video as your next one.